I should have cut you when I had the chance. Someone was living inside my walls, watching me sleep every night. They tried to drug us at the bar, but we switched the drinks. These are 3 true stories that will make you question everything. Tonight, you'll hear about cloaked figures performing rituals in an abandoned school, someone hiding in the walls of a home, and a night at a bar that almost ended in tragedy. Welcome to Scream's Vault, where we uncover the most disturbing, true horror stories that people wish they could forget. Before we begin, I need to warn you. These stories contain real terror, home invasions, predators. You're watching alone at night, perfect, because that's where the real screams echo the loudest. In the next 25 minutes, you'll question if you're truly alone. You'll wonder what's lurking in the dark corners of your room. You'll realize the most terrifying monsters aren't in movies. They're in abandoned buildings behind your walls and sitting across from you right now. Welcome to Scream's Vault. Let's begin.
My friends and I explored abandoned places in New Jersey. One night, we decided to check out an abandoned middle school about 30 minutes away. There were 4 of us: me, Tyler, Marcus, Derek, and Chris. We'd seen photos online and figured it was finally time to explore it. Marcus drove us there, and we parked a few blocks away. When we got to the fence, someone had already cut it open, which made things easier. The school was massive, way bigger than the pictures showed. We found an unlocked door and stepped inside with our flashlights. Picture your childhood school, only dead silent. Every hallway was stripped down to exposed wires and crumbling tiles. Insulation hung from the ceiling. Broken furniture everywhere. The walls were covered in graffiti. Some good, some awful. We made a quick loop through the basement, which was by far the most rundown part. In one of the rooms, there was a massive pentagram painted on the floor. Creepy, but anyone who does urban exploring knows these pop up everywhere. We moved up to the 2nd floor. Derek and I found a blank wall and started spray painting while Marcus and Chris went to look for a way to the roof. After about 5 minutes, Derek yelled out from behind me. He was angry, asking if I was messing with him. I had no idea what he was talking about. Then he said, "I know you took my bag." I swore I didn't touch it. We searched the room with our lights, but the bag was completely gone. We couldn't paint anymore without it. So we went to find Marcus and Chris. We wandered around checking various rooms. At one point, I walked into a small side room and froze. There on the wall was another pentagram, but this one was freshly painted. Paint was still dripping down the wall. And in the corner of the room was Derek's bag, just sitting there. Derek grabbed his bag and said in a loud voice, "What the hell is wrong with him?" He thought Chris was playing a prank, but even as a joke, this seemed like it crossed the line. Suddenly, we heard rapid footsteps thundering towards us. It was Chris and Marcus motioning for us to follow them and run. We didn't ask questions. We just ran. Here's a rule to live by. If someone tells you to run, you don't stand around asking why. As we ran, Marcus tried to explain what was going on, but I couldn't understand him over all the noise. All I gathered was that we were running from someone, most likely multiple people. The 4 of us tried to find our way back to the exit, but it was a literal maze in there. Eventually, we stopped to catch our breath. We agreed that if we just found a stairwell and went down, we'd eventually find a way out. After finding stairs, we went down a couple floors to what we thought was the ground floor. We started walking through the hallway, thinking we were in the clear. But just then, this sharp hissing noise rang out from somewhere in front of us. It sounded like someone trying to imitate a cat. The 4 of us froze, hoping whoever was down there didn't notice us. But as we were slowly retreating, a deep voice said from beyond the darkness, "I should have cut you when I had the chance." We didn't wait another second. We just ran. This time, I could actually hear several sets of footsteps behind us. They were yelling obscene things, stuff about how they were going to kill us and how they had all the exits covered. It was the scariest moment of my life. But somehow Marcus took a turn at the right moment, and up ahead we saw the original door we'd come through. We kept running even after making it outside, through the fence and all the way back to Marcus's car. He drove off immediately. As we were driving away, Chris told us their side of the story. After they failed to find a way to the roof, they went down a floor to look for us. Chris started hearing weird metallic clinking coming from one of the rooms. He and Marcus walked inside and saw 3 cloaked figures sitting in a circle, hunched over something on the floor. It looked like they were playing some kind of game with glass marbles. As soon as the figures noticed them, they started scrambling off the floor to chase them. There were so many things that didn't make sense. Why would they toy with us by taking Derek's bag if they really wanted to hurt us? Marcus thought the room with the pentagram was where they were going to kill us or sacrifice us. Some weird cult stuff. I was convinced they had gone downstairs to cut us off when we eventually found our way down there. There must have been at least 4 people in there. We never went back there, but as far as I know, that building still exists. This happened a little over 5 years ago. I had just moved into my first home, which I no longer live in. I'm Sarah, and at the time I was coming off a long stretch in a cramped downtown apartment in Spokane. I was ready for something quieter. The place I rented was a small 1-story home on the outskirts of a rural town, tucked behind pine trees with a narrow gravel driveway. Just 2 small bedrooms, an outdated kitchen, and a cramped bathroom. But it was peaceful. The nearest neighbors were a little ways down the street, out of sight, and definitely out of earshot. This particular night happened in late October. I had just gotten home from work around 9:45. It had been a long day. I kicked off my boots, changed clothes, and ordered Chinese from a spot I'd used before. Sometime just after 10, the doorbell rang. I thought, damn, that was fast. I looked through the peephole. There was a guy standing there wearing a hoodie and jeans with his hands in his pockets, but he didn't have any food with him. No bag, no receipt, nothing. My brain was operating on low power and I wasn't thinking straight. Against my better judgment, I cracked the door slightly, keeping the chain on. I asked if he was here with the food. He paused, then nodded, saying something about wanting to double-check the order before grabbing it from his car. That's when I came to my senses. I told him flat out that if he didn't bring the food to the door, I was calling the police. Instead of responding, he muttered something under his breath and walked down the driveway into the darkness. I shut the door and locked it, then called the restaurant. The manager told me the food hadn't even left yet. That was the moment it clicked. Whoever had just been at my door was a stranger planning to rob the place, or do something even worse. I called the non-emergency police line and reported it. They said they'd note it for patrol. 20 minutes later, the actual delivery guy pulled up. I took the food, and that was that. Around 11:30, I was in the living room watching TV with the lights off when I heard a noise, a faint scraping sound coming from the back of the house. I muted the TV and froze. After a few seconds, I heard it again. It was coming from the back door. I stared at it, and to my horror, the doorknob slightly jiggled a few times. Someone was testing it. Without another thought, I quietly called 911 and told them what was happening. After 15 minutes, an officer finally announced himself at my front door. I rushed to let him in. The police searched my property and the surrounding area. No one was in sight, but one of them pointed out something near the back door. Fresh pry marks. It looked like someone had tried to wedge something under the lock, probably a flathead or pocket tool. I gave them my statement and connected it to what happened earlier. They said patrols would be increased temporarily, But other than that, there wasn't much they could do. The next few nights passed without incident. I told myself there was no way that guy would return after getting the police called on him twice. But a few nights later, I woke up after midnight to sirens, police sirens. They weren't too close, but loud enough to wake me. I went to the window just in time to see 3 cruisers fly past my house. I figured it was probably some unrelated thing and went back to bed. But not 20 minutes after I'd fallen back asleep, I was woken up again, this time to knocking at my front door. I checked the peephole. 2 uniformed officers were standing on the porch. When I opened up, one of them asked if I recognized someone they'd just detained a few streets over. He held up his phone and showed me a photo. It was him. It was that guy from a few nights earlier, the one who had tried to break into my house. Apparently, he'd just been caught trying to break into someone else's house nearby. They had him in custody and figured there was a tie to my earlier call. The officers told me I wouldn't have to worry about him anymore. That was the last I ever heard about it. I actually ended up moving out of that house shortly after, mostly because I was going crazy. This happened just a few weeks ago. My name's Catherine, and I'm a 4-year-old law student about to start my 2nd year at NYU. First year was a nightmare. I don't think I slept more than 4 hours a night. So when summer rolled around, I promised myself I'd enjoy it. That meant going out a lot, especially on weekends. Most Saturdays, my friend Jackie and I ended up at the same handful of bars a couple towns over. There's one in particular that's always packed. And that's where we were the night everything went down. This is going to sound bad, but I have this habit of pretending to be kind of ditzy when I meet guys at bars. Nothing too over the top, just enough to let them assume things. The guys at bars seem to assume every girl they talk to is brain dead. I'm definitely not, but somehow pretending is kind of fun. I like seeing how guys react, and there's something satisfying about flipping the script once I get bored. Jackie and I had just gotten our drinks when these 2 guys slid into conversation with us. Their names were Sebastian and Luke. They seemed pretty normal, not immediately creepy, decent looking, confident. No readily apparent red flags. Jackie seemed to click with Luke almost instantly, so I figured I'd stick it out and talk to Sebastian. We talked to them for a really long time, which was shocking considering most bar encounters don't last more than 5 minutes. At one point, Jackie grabbed my arm and whispered that she needed the bathroom. As we were leaving, Sebastian asked if we wanted anything to drink. I told him we'd both have a rum and Coke. In the bathroom, Jackie admitted she was thinking of going home with Luke, preferably sooner rather than later. I was shocked. I'm usually the one to make poor spontaneous decisions, not her. But I figured if she was into it, I'd be a good friend and go with the flow. As we were returning from the bathroom, I spotted the guys across the bar. They didn't seem to notice us. Interestingly, they weren't laughing or talking in the fun, relaxed way they had been before. Instead, they were just standing there with blank faces. The closer I looked, the more it seemed like they were whispering. That little change in behavior gave me a really unsettling feeling. As soon as we got within a few feet of them, the energy shifted again. They both snapped right back into the casual bar vibe. Luke nudged 2 drinks toward us without saying much. I looked down. There were 4 drinks total, 2 rum and Cokes and 2 something elses. Based on the bright yellow color and slushy liquid, they definitely didn't look like something most guys would order. I decided to take advantage of that. With as innocent a smile as I could muster, I pointed at the peculiar drinks and asked what they were. Sebastian said they were piña coladas, which was beyond random. I gave him a teasing look and said in a playful voice, "You know, I think these drinks might be too girly for you guys. I would hate for anyone to catch you sipping them." Before waiting for a response, I reached out and slid our rum and cokes across the table, replacing them with the frozen drinks. Then I raised my glass and took a long, slow sip before giving Sebastian a little wink. Jackie caught on and grabbed the drink I pushed in front of her. She looked at me confused, but went with it. Sebastian stared at me for a long second with his eyes narrowed, like he was sizing me up. Then he just laughed and said, "Touché." He started sipping the rum and coke. Admittedly, that put me at ease. Luke followed suit. We finished the drinks without incident. Jackie was being pretty obvious that she wouldn't mind leaving soon. Luke eventually took the hint, suggesting we all go back to his place for a nightcap. That's when I started feeling like everything was normal again. I didn't think it was likely the guys would invite us over if they suspected we knew something was up. We Ubered back to his apartment, a modest second-floor unit. Inside, it was cleaner than I expected, but weirdly minimal, like he'd just moved in. Luke had some White Claws in his fridge, so he kept the energy going. At first, everything seemed normal. The guys seemed to be starting to sober up, but that didn't last long. We couldn't have been there more than 20 minutes when things got strange. The guys seemed to be getting progressively drunker, really, really fast. They started slurring their words and laughing to themselves. And then, just like that, both of them fell asleep on the couch within minutes of each other. It was a horrifying sight. My initial suspicion that they had messed with our drinks was proven right in front of our eyes. Jackie was oblivious at first, but I pulled her back and told her to calm down. I asked if she remembered me switching the drinks, then told her I thought it was because they might have drugged them. And it turned out I had been right. She looked at me with this shocked expression and just said, "Oh my God," over and over. The two of us just sat there for a few minutes trying to calm down and figure out what to do. We looked around a bit, but what exactly were we supposed to do? We weren't going to flip the place upside down. After some persisting, I got her to leave it alone. We left not long after that. We never went to the police, not that night or the next morning, and at this point, we probably never will. I know that might sound irresponsible or even stupid, but we don't have any real evidence that they did anything sinister. There's also the possibility they really had just gotten super drunk super fast, but I think it's unlikely. Either way, I don't think I've ever been closer to real danger. Why anyone would drug girls who are already willing to go home with them is a complete mystery to me. That makes me think they were planning something even worse. Also, why would they agree to let us go home with them if they knew they were hours away from passing out? I guess it's possible they thought the drugs wouldn't affect them because of their bigger size, but I don't know. This is going to be something I think about regularly for a while. I know it's my own stupidity for letting someone else control my drink, but it's just crazy to think about what some people will do to get what they want.